Welcome to the Black Marriage and Family Therapy Matters podcast, where we connect Black families to Black therapists. On Mondays, you will receive direct therapeutic support from a licensed therapist or professional connected to the mental health field. They will provide therapeutic and educational resources to help you have a healthier relationship with your family members. On Wednesdays, you will receive direct tips and resources to help you get through the stuck places that prevent many people from having the relationships with their families and significant others that they desire. On Fridays, we want you to visit our blog, which can be found at www.blackmftmatters.com, which holds additional resources and action steps that you can begin implementing immediately to improve your relationships. This is necessary because we love that you are listening, but we want you to take action too. While you are there, please grab our A to Z Relationship Bootcamp and be provided with the skills you need to immediately communicate better within your relationships. Please note that while the therapists on podcasts are therapists, they do not serve as your therapist unless you have signed a confidential agreement with them confirming that relationship. Thank you in advance for listening, and we hope you are inspired. All right, it's time for the show. Here is your host, Dr. Connie Omari.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Marriage and Family Therapy Matters podcast, where we are breaking generational curses in the Black community. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Johnson. Hi, Dr. Johnson. How are you today?
I'm fine. How you doing?
I am good. We have some amazing things to talk about. Can I go ahead and introduce our audience to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. So Dr. Johnson was born in Washington, D.C. She graduated from Livonia High School in 2005 at the age of 17, and then went on to attend Remington College to major in criminal justice. Dr. Johnson continued her education and obtained a bachelor's in criminal justice from the University of Phoenix. Since then, Dr. Johnson has obtained 2 master's degrees, the latest of which is in clinical mental health counseling. She is now a licensed professional counselor supervisor. Dr. Johnson has always had the passion to work with juveniles and assist them in becoming productive citizens. She has worked in several capacities that have attributed to her 9 years of experience in mental health services. She has her own private practice agency known as Gracefully Purpose Counseling and Consulting. Dr. Johnson graduated in May of 2021 with her Doctorate of Education in Organizational Leadership and is now Dr. Donna Barnes-Johnson. Dr. Johnson is also a 3-time author of Affirming Me, Gracefully Journal, Damaged Goods, and she has ADHD affirmations. I love that. Well, Dr. Johnson, why don't you tell us a little bit about what got you into this type of work?
Okay, so my childhood is what brought me to counseling. Honestly, my background is criminal justice. That's because I used to want to be a lawyer. I used to want to be a lawyer due to some sexual abuse that I encountered when I was a kid. So me as a lawyer wanted to make sure that I put all the predators away. Yes, I wanted to put them away. So that was my goal. But I see that wasn't my purpose. So as I continued to get older, and I said I wanted to learn how people think, why people think the way that they think. So it brought me to my journey at Kaplan University, and that's where I obtained my first master's. But that was more so in applied behavior analysis, and I didn't want to just focus on the Asperger's and autism spectrum. So I went back to school at Southern University to get my master's in clinical mental health counseling. And when I say that opened a whole world for me, that opened a world for me. I learned so much about myself as well as the profession. And I knew that then that I needed to help other people. I love to serve. To serve. So me providing counseling allows me to serve others with getting their mental health together and mental health right and working on those childhood issues. Because if you don't work on it, it'll eat you up. It will tear you up.
Every single time. Absolutely. Love that. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for your transparency. That's a common theme, at least that I see on the therapists that come on our show, is that they generally or just have been through something and they're open enough and transparent enough to share that. So for our audience that are listening, I know a lot of times people are guarded about talking about certain things because they don't know if you can relate. And, our therapist can, and Dr. Johnson is prime example of that. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So, So you wanted to do this based off of your own experience and you realized that wasn't your purpose. Well, let's talk about that, because I think a lot of times people are afraid to change. Like, this isn't the first time I've heard. It's funny. It's so funny that you started with the legal background, because I hear that a lot in the legal field. Like, I have served so many people, so many clients that were attorneys or had a law degree, and they didn't practice, and so I think, but I know it's not just that field. So whether it's a career or in general, like, what can you say to somebody who knows that they're doing something, but it's not their purpose, it's not what they need to be doing? How can you speak to that?
I would really suggest that you get out of your comfort zone, because I think that's what it is. Many people don't like change because they're comfortable. Mm-hmm. But we have to be able to get out of our comfort zone. We don't grow when we're comfortable. We don't grow at all when we're comfortable. I used to work at the prison, and one thing that I had realized after I left is I became comfortable there. I became comfortable. I became lax. And I know they were prisoners, but I didn't see them as prisoners. I saw them as people.
As a former prisoner, thank you.
Yeah, I saw them as people.
Yes, we are. I'm a former inmate, but that's exactly who we are. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
And I did get comfortable and lax, and I wasn't able to grow there. And that's the thing that we have to make sure that we remember. We cannot grow in comfortable places. Something always will happen when you get too lax to get you off your rocker for that change to come. So my advice would be to go for it. You have one life to live. Go for it. Whatever it is that you want to do, you have the ability. You wake up every morning and you go be great. Whatever that is you're going to be great in, go be great.
I love it. Just hearing you say that, a certain statistic came up in mind. I think I read somewhere like 75% of car accidents happen within 5 miles of a person's home, and that's because you get home, you get comfortable, right? You know that routine, you know those roads, and that's where the catastrophes are happening. So, yeah. So very good. So we're talking today about mental health and wellness. Please just break that down, because mental health and wealth. Is that correct? Yes. Let's break that down, because Black folks ain't supposed to talk about money.
But listen, because I truly believe that everything has to be right here. You know how, and not to get spiritual, but in the Bible talks about how everything starts with the head and then it works its way down. That's the same thing up here. Everything starts up here. So if our thoughts aren't pure, nothing else is going to be pure. If we struggle with our physical appearance and we struggle with our mental health, who's going to want to work out? We're not going to want to work out, because up here we're not right. And that's the same thing sometimes too with our finances. Sometimes, I know I said go live and be great because you only get one life, but that doesn't mean go splurge either. That doesn't mean to go be impulsive.
Don't go buy Jordans and new, if you ain't got no house.
You got to make sure your bills and stuff are paid before you indulge in the extra stuff. So that's something that we have to think about. If we're not mentally right up here, nothing else is going to flow right. We have to get mentally healthy, and that's going to produce that wealth for us, because we're going to make better decisions, whether it's with our physical health, our mental, our financial health, our spiritual health. We'll make better decisions, but it all starts with the thoughts that we have. If we have bad thoughts, of course, we're going to produce bad behaviors and bad feelings.
I agree with you so much. And one of the things that comes to my mind is just the poverty mindset, because I don't have statistics right in front of me, but there's no doubt that we're some of the biggest consumers in, actually I do have some statistics, because I've been watching some YouTube videos, and it said that the Black community, on average, I want to say is in the 20s, or our net worth, and $20,000 or whatever a year. Well, I don't know exactly, but it's very, very low, with respect to, other populations. But I know we're some of the heaviest consumers. And so from a poverty mindset, what would you say? How do you think the way that we think about money and approaches money affects our poverty levels and our income?
Honestly, I think it's how we look at each other. I think that's going to be, that's the big key. Some people buy those Jordans because they like to, I guess it's the name. Sometimes it's affiliated with the name. Or some people like to buy the nice cars because they want to be seen. If we could get out of our mind of being seen or being better than the next in our own race, I think that would definitely help us get out of the poverty that we are in. We don't have to be better than each other. We need to actually help each other come up. We need to help each other come up. I don't try to be better than my sister, or I don't try to be better than my brother. I'm just trying to be me. So whatever that produces is going to be good enough, because I don't have to put on this front, because we can have these Jordans, or even getting all the, our wigs and stuff made and always looking pretty and stuff. We can have all of that, but if we ain't happy or if we're not at peace, none of that matters. Like none of that matters. So I think when it comes to our mental, we really got to think beyond trying to be better than the next. Now, if we want to be better than the other races, so be it. But we shouldn't be in competition with our own.
But we are.
We need to be helping. We need to be helping, because that's what the other races do. They stick together. They can fight and come back.
Why do you think that we don't?
I honestly, I wish I knew the answer to that. I do believe that some people just have like that crab bucket mentality. If I keep you down, then that's where you'll be. And that's not what's going to help us. We need to lift each other up. But I think it goes back to having each other's back. So not that person lifting you up and then you cutthroat them, or you do something to mess up that relationship. No, we can have each other's back, still be friends, or still be cordial, still be family. It's not a competition. If we don't look at it as a competition, it won't be a competition.
Won't be a competition. I love that. It's interesting that you say this because, coming on the heels of, my incarceration and being released and things, and trying to just really process all of that. One of the reasons why I was given, I guess, a lenient sentence is because I was able to prove where the money went. It was a lot of money, but it took over 100 women and children off the street. It was effective. And so I mentioned that because, yes, we can get fixated on the figures and the limited mindset that says, well, this Black woman shouldn't have had access to all this money and, da-da-da-da-da. But then what happens to all the women I was responsible for, and all the good and all the things? So we have this stereotype, right? We think that if you have a lot of money, then you must be bad, or you must be deceptive, or you must have done some illicit activity to be able to get it. And so what happens, we don't try to get it, right? We remain poor because we don't want to be the greedy, fraudulent woman who gets $500,000 and gets prosecuted. You know what I mean? Like, we stay stuck. And so what I love about your brand and what you seem to be bringing to the forefront is, well, what if we did change our mindset? Like, what if we were to think it was okay to have money, that wealth was attainable, and that we could actually do really great things for our community? I mean, if everybody had at least 6 figures, you know what I mean? If people knew, and I wish this had come out earlier, but at tax time, instead of going out and buying them doggone Jordans in that car that you can't even pay insurance for. Yes, you can't put gas in, but you can put down a down payment. What if you got an LLC? You know what I'm saying? And got your little business plan and put this together to really just something small like that can make a huge difference. But we don't think that way.
And some people don't want to be entrepreneurs, but that's okay. It's okay for some. It's just not okay for me.
Right. Or a lot of people, because a lot of people want to be in, but they're scared to be in. Yeah. Let's just call it what it is. Yes, I have a VA, so I need people to work 9 to 5. My husband has a he's an employee, benefits and all that stuff. Some people need to do that, but some people need to be entrepreneurs, and we're afraid of failure, and we're also afraid of success. I'm just going to go ahead and say, because I struggle with that too. I'm more afraid of success than I am failure.
Me too, because it's like, what's next? Like, what's next after I maintain this?
Yes.
Or
as Black women, what about, do you get this? Who does she think she is? She done wrote 3 books now.
Sometimes.
Like, you think you're better than us,
And it's not about that. Like, sometimes I have people to tell me that I've changed, and it's not that I've changed, but I evolved, and that's okay to evolve.
You have to, because if you're not around other authors, if you're the only author in the group, then where are you being inspired? Who's helping you to get to that next level? And at the same time, girl, I'm passionate about this because people say the same thing to me. And it's like, first of all, if you really want to be honest, when you have more money and when you have more prestige and influence like that, people gravitate towards you all the time. You know what I'm saying? And it's not necessarily genuine. I prefer those relationships, a lot of them, that I had before, but y'all too busy judging me, thinking that speaking for me, that I think I'm better than you, and that whatever, that you don't recognize, no, I actually really, want my roots, because a lot of these relationships out here really are not, what I want. I'm sorry, Dr. Johnson, do you experience that as well?
Sometimes I do. Like, I've known recently, like, I've lost a couple of friends, friendships. I've lost a lot of friendships recently. And I just had to get to the place to where I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay with it. And I'm not better than anybody.
No, you're not.
Not better. But I just know what I want. So I'm going to go after what I want. I'm a firm believer. I'm going to go after what I want. Who comes along, comes along. You don't come along, I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. But I still have to do what I have to do, for my purpose and where I'm trying to go.
Do you think that what you just described keeps people from, some people would just prefer, I just rather be around my friends that I went to school with or went to college with, or my family. Do you think that keeps people stuck? The fear of stepping out, and just what you said, just people, thinking that.
Sometimes it can, but that goes back to the comfortability. Like, we're comfortable with those people. So yeah, we could be vulnerable with those people, but you have to afford yourself the opportunity to meet new people, because some people are really going to fall off. Just as when the seasons change, fall come, the leaves fall off the tree.
Absolutely.
More come.
Absolutely.
More come. So it's not like you're going to be without. It's just going to be a different scene, and that's okay. So different doesn't have to be bad. New doesn't have to be bad. Getting out your comfort zone doesn't have to be bad, but that goes back to the mindset and how we perceive things to be. If we think of it as a bad thing, we're going to see it as a bad thing. But it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't. You said you lost a lot of friends. I'm curious, were they really your friends? Like, was there something about it after the fact that you're like, man, I knew, this person really, okay.
Hindsight. I wish I had it before. But yeah, I've actually noticed, like, I was able to pinpoint, like, no, this wasn't friend-like behaviors. Yeah. And now I'm very big. I feel like if anybody has to attack my character, or not necessarily attack it, but if you have to question my character, and we've been friends for a long time, we never were friends. Because as friends, you know who I am. Right.
I can say the same thing with my prosecution. Like, it was crazy how just because a prosecutor that these people don't even know, that doesn't really even know me, he just knows a data point and a paper, whatever some things he's reading and he's interpreting it, which is how many people in my life just automatically said, well, the prosecutor said it, must be true. And I was like, whoa. And like I said, you come on the other side of stuff, and it's, no sweat off my back. It's all of a sudden, oh, she thinks no, I just know I got to move different with you. You know what I mean? Like, that's all that is,
Yeah. And that's like with family too.
That's what I'm talking about. 90% of it,
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that, because I think, a lot of people, I remember the first therapy session I was in, and it was brought to my attention that just because it was family, I just thought I didn't know I could have a boundary with family members.
Oh, yes, you can. I'm a big believer of that. I'm a big believer.
Elaborate, because I'm sure there are people listening who also are confused about that. Family
will feel obligated. Okay, family feel like they're obligated or they are entitled to you, and no, they are not. Like, I'm a big believer of that. If I don't have the time or the space to do something for family, I don't have the time or space. If I could make it, then I do that. But if I can't, I don't have the time or space. And I'm not going to apologize for that. Like some people, like, matter of fact, my brother, he was like, I'm supposed to know your business. Says who? I have a husband. No, you're not. My husband's supposed to know my business. But just because you're a brother, because you have that title, you are not obligated to know my business. No, it doesn't work that way. And I think that's the thing. And you could be respectful, because I get a lot of people that say, well, I don't want to disrespect my parents. But if you come at them correct, it's not disrespect. Of course, they're probably going to see it as disrespect because they're going to view it as talking back, old school. And that's okay. But no, having a voice isn't being disrespectful. Having boundaries with family isn't being disrespectful. It's standing your ground. It's okay to have those boundaries with family. It's okay to tell family no. It is okay to say no to your family, because you're not obligated to say yes all the time to nobody.
Love that. I remember as I was learning this, there was a lot of guilt and shame around it. With me, it was, because I didn't have a lot of money, more or less, growing up. If they had invested anything in me, it was like, oh, I've done this for you, I've done that for you, but you think you can do, whatever. Can you speak a little bit to, like, the guilt and the shame that we put amongst ourselves?
People will make you feel guilty. People will. I had to learn that I'm not going to feel guilty based off of somebody else's decision or somebody else's choice. And to be honest, I tell people too, don't get mad at when they say that. Don't get mad at when they say, well, I invested in you or I helped you. Truth is, they did. But truth is, that was their choice. You didn't beg them. Yeah. That was their choice. Yeah. They made their choice to help or invest you. So it is what it is. Thank you for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you. But it goes back to, like, looking at the truth. So don't look at it as an attack, or don't look at it as they're throwing it back in your face.
Aren't we? Thank you for that, because aren't we also helping them because chances are, I'm thinking about a particular relationship in general. Nobody ever stood up to this person. So when I did, it was, I got all of this, but at the end of the day, it eventually helped this person in the long run, because this person now moves different as well, especially with me, etc. So I brought something. On the one hand, they'll say, well, I have no idea, what Hun's talking about. But on the other hand, you're treating me differently. You are giving me more respect. You are respecting my boundaries. So you knew what I was talking about, So it helps, I guess, if we could change, like you said, our mindset. Yeah. Just because they say we're being ungrateful, it doesn't mean
you are.
Yeah, that we're being ungrateful. Correct.
And I've learned that we each have our own definition of words. Ungratefulness to you might be defined differently for me. So that's something too that we have to be mindful of. So we don't always have to go with Webster version of what that word means.
Right.
You got to identify what that word means to you, because some words are triggering to some people. We just got to identify what that is.
I love that. And the truth is, when you do something for somebody, are we supposed to be expecting anything in return if it truly is a gift?
No. If you being genuine, and this is a thing that I hear often, I'm a match energy.
There we go.
If you're being genuine and you do something for somebody, whether they do it back for you or not, doesn't matter, because you're doing it from the kindness of your heart. So you don't look for it back in return. Do you get burnt out with that? Absolutely. So you have to be careful of who you're pouring into or who you're doing things for. But if your heart is to give, that's your heart. So how do you stoop low to match somebody else's energy?
Love it. Love it. Love it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So so we're talking about family, conflict. Let's kind of transition a little bit more in the direction of wealth, because I mean, one of the things that I just, in terms of my own wealth journey, am learning, because I am still in the process. It is here. It is here. Like, if you think you can be wealthy, you can be wealthy. If you think you're going to be poor, you're going to be poor. I mean, that's really, if you think you have to work a 9 to 5, you're going to work a 9 to 5. And if you think you can be an entrepreneur, you'll be an entrepreneur. So, but what are some, I guess, exercises or strategies we can do for those who feel like maybe they want to write a book or they want to open their own business? What can we do to encourage that? What are some mindset shifts?
I would suggest getting a journal, because journaling really does help. Like, so many thoughts come to my mind, I jot them down. I don't know what they're for, but I jot them down. So when something comes up, I could go back to my book. I could go back to my journal. So prime example, like 2 weeks ago, I wrote down 7 ways to protect your mental health. I said I was going to do videos on it. Never did the videos on it. Never knew what I was jotting it down for. But Saturday, I just did a presentation on mental health, and I was teaching people how to protect their mental health. So it goes back to writing things down, because you never know when you will need that resource.
I love it. Mm-hmm.
You'll never know when you need that resource. But also keep you a journal for when you have thoughts in your mind, when you have irrational thoughts in your mind. Write them down. Write down the irrational thoughts. You know how sometimes when we think a thing, but then when we say it out loud, it don't make sense? That's the same reaction when we would get when we able to write down some of those thoughts and we read it over. We'll be like, okay, that don't make sense, or this is not true. It helps us to get the thoughts out of our mind, because if the thoughts stay in our mind, more thoughts are going to be added the next day and then the next day. So we need to get it out of our mind. Also, breathing. Sometimes taking a moment to breathe, because we all are so busy. We have to get it. We have the hustling mentality, but sometimes we just hustlers take a break too. Sometimes we just have to get to the point to where we can breathe. Allow yourself sometimes to sit in it, whatever you're feeling. Give yourself, even if it's 30 minutes, to sit in whatever you're feeling. Give yourself that time. A lot of people go back to that hustling mentality. Some people hustle because they can't sit down. Because once they sit down, all the thoughts will start to come. But sometimes you will have to sit down in it in order to process it, in order to heal from it. Because it's going to come back up again if you don't deal with it.
Absolutely.
It'll come back up again. And then if things are starting to get worse or more out of control, I definitely say seek therapy. Because therapy can really help. Talking to a stranger can really help. I know, we learn stranger danger when we're younger, or we learn what happens in this house stays in this house. But no, because what happens in the house go with you wherever you go. Your trauma goes with you wherever you go. It's not going to just stay in the house. So we need to make sure that we're able to work on it and get it out.
Love it. Love it. Love it. What do you think of gratitude journaling?
I think that is very important, honestly, because if you just recognize something that you're grateful for every day, that's going to help you realize, well, maybe my situation isn't that bad. And it isn't meant to minimize your situation. But again, remember how I said to sit in it? We want to sit in it, but only for a little bit, because we don't want to sit and spiral. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to sit, to be able to recognize, okay, I sat in it, but this is what I need to do. Or girl, get up, or boy, get up. Like, this is what we have to do. So sitting in it for a little bit, and then we're doing something about it. So the gratitude journal can really help with that. I tell people, even if you because most people, when you ask them what they're grateful for, of course, they're going to say the house, they're going to say their car, their family. I'm grateful for a pair of socks.
Hello.
Listen, a pair of socks, because some people don't have socks at all, or some people have holes in their socks. I'm grateful to have a pair of socks that match too, because the washing machine and the dryer, it eats it up.
They will eat them socks up. Yeah.
Yes. So it's just the small things that we really have to make sure that we outline. We can always look at the big stuff, but what are the small things that some people will consider insignificant, but it's significant for us?
Love it. Absolutely. Why is that hard to do? especially when we want more?
Well, I think social media has a big part to play in it, honestly. I think social media, you see all these people, you know, with the lavish lifestyles, or you see what they post, but that is, it's not always their real life. And I've learned that through a relationship that I went through before I got married. I was kind of like the side piece. You know, I was the side piece, but he would post his girlfriend and how much he loved her. And I'm just like, it's not real, because you messing with me. If you loved her, you wouldn't be stepping out. And that helped me realize how so many people fake it on social media. You know, so social media really does have a way of making people feel like they want more, or, oh, I need to get this because this person has this. Because this person can have this but still not happy. Right.
Yeah. It's so funny because, you know, I sell a course, and sometimes, you know, I can see on social media what you posted. And so I see your nice car, and I see your nice, you know, house and your clothes and stuff. You ain't got $200, but this course is going to help you have a better relationship, you know? So yeah, I hear you. Well, let's make sure that we kind of talk about some of your work and some of the books that you're writing, because I can imagine that this is going to help people with their mindset around this issue.
Yes. So I have 3 books right now. I'm working on a 4th, but I have 3 books right now. My first book was Affirming Me Gracefully Journal, and it has music lyrics in it and affirmations and quotes. And the reason that book came about, because I feel like you have to affirm yourself. If you don't empower or encourage yourself, you're going to always feel depleted, or you're not going to feel validated. And we don't want to have to depend on other people to become validated. No, we want to be able to validate ourselves. That way, if nobody else does it, guess what? We know we're going to do it for ourselves. That's why I created that. And it's a journal, so it has prompts. It's like a guided journal. It has prompts, and you could, like, one of the songs was from one of the Tyler Perry movies with Mary J. Blige. And that's for somebody who's been through domestic abuse or in a bad relationship. We don't need anybody that's going to beat us down.
No, we don't
need that. So it's that prompt, that song lyric that's in there, and it helps you process if you ever been through that situation. You get to write about it. So I had that as a book, Affirming Me Gracefully Journal. And then I had Damaged Goods. So Damaged Goods was more so about my life. For the longest, due to the sexual abuse, I felt as though I wasn't worthy. I felt as though nobody was going to love me and things like that. And it made me think, when we go into the grocery store, if we see a can item, if it has a dent on it, we're going to put it back on the shelf.
Correct.
We're not going to pick it up. But the fact is, it's still the nutrients that's inside that vegetable is still nutritious. Nothing changed about what's on the inside, although it's damaged on the outside. So that's what helped me come up with Damaged Goods. Because although I went through the sexual abuse, I'm not damaged on the inside. I'm still good, and I still have good to give. So that's about Damaged Goods, and I really love that.
Love it. I love that. Yeah, I love that analogy.
Yes. And then I have, I recently just came out in May, this month, with I Have ADHD Affirmations, because I service clients, and it's more so for kids. I service kids who have ADHD, but if you think about it, adults have trouble accepting a diagnosis.
Yes,
so if adults have trouble accepting a diagnosis, what do you think about a kid? A kid gonna have more trouble accepting an ADHD. Not bad, but all they know is people telling me I have ADHD, people telling me I'm acting out, people telling me I'm bad, you know. So the ADHD affirmations is for them, to help them affirm themselves despite having ADHD, to let them know that they are still loved, they are kind, they can make friends, they can be organized, they could be normal, they are normal. ADHD doesn't mean that you're different. We just process things differently. So it's to affirm the kids, so the kids don't have to feel sad or down about having the diagnosis.
Love it. I love that. I love that. So you just really are kind of like just providing all types of services for your clients. And I love that.
Yes,
Yeah. And that's good, because I think people often think that the only thing that they can have is like talk therapy. But you obviously are making more resources available for them, and that's great.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Is there any myth surrounding mental health and wealth that you'd like to debunk for our audience today?
I do believe a myth for mental health is you're crazy because you want to get counseling. You're not crazy for wanting to get counseling. You're actually, and I tell people all the time, you're not weak, you're not crazy, you're actually strong, because it takes a lot for you to go to somebody else that don't know you. Again, going back to a stranger, you're going to a stranger, you're telling them your business, you're trusting them. You're trusting them because we have HIPAA laws, but you're trusting that we won't tell your business, although, we're not supposed to. And we don't, but you're trusting us with that. I would say you're actually strong. If you feel like you need the therapy, make sure you get it. Make sure you get it. Because people will call us crazy whether we get the therapy or not. They will call us crazy anyway it goes. So let's be crazy and get the help that we need, because we do need it. It's pressing times. It is pressing times. We have grief that people are dealing with. We have COVID that people are dealing with. We have these thoughts that sometimes don't get out of our head. My firm belief is that everybody needs therapy. Lawyers, doctors, the president. We all need therapy.
The ex-president.
Yes. and that's a prime example, but it's like, y'all, we cannot let it get out of hand, because when things tend to get out of hand, innocent people get affected.
Absolutely. There's I think a meme or something that I saw that says, I go to therapy because I'm around people who don't go to therapy,
Sometimes that can drag you to it.
Yes. Well, listen, I want to make sure that everybody has access to your book. So please make sure you send me a link to all three. Can we get them on Amazon, or do we have to buy them directly through you?
They all are on Amazon. They're all on Amazon. You can just type in my name or type in the title of the book and it'll come up.
Okay. Very good. And you're in the state of California?
Louisiana.
Oh, wow. See, I told you. I was a little confused. Okay, Louisiana. Do you do telehealth?
Yes.
Perfect. So make sure that you leave us the link so that people who are in Louisiana can also access you. Are you in any other? So basically through books and counseling in Louisiana, is there any other way people can find you? On
Instagram, they can find me. Gracefully Purpose Counseling is my handle on Instagram.
Perfect. Well, this was really a great podcast. So you brought a lot of great insight into the correlation between mental health and wealth. I think a lot of people just, don't think of it as being together, but it really is. So any final thoughts for our listeners today?
Your mental health is the most valuable possession that you have. Your mental health.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, that concludes our show for the day, everyone. We appreciate you for just allowing Dr. Johnson and I to partner with you on your mental health journey. So with that said, we thank you very much for joining us, and we will end this now, and we'll see you next time. All right. Peace and blessings, Dr. O. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Black Marriage and Family Therapy Matters podcast, where we connect Black families to Black therapists. Since you've listened all the way through, come on in and join the family. If you haven't done so yet, please join our free community where we offer weekly trainings and monthly giveaways. We can be found on Facebook under the Black Marriage and Families Matter Facebook group. And since you're serious about joining our family, we also invite you to join our All In campaign, which signifies your commitment to go all in, not only for yourself, but in helping us reach more people by downloading this podcast wherever you are listening to it, leaving us a review, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. This really helps us reach more people and change more lives. After all, Dr. Martin Luther King once said, we can all get more done together than we can apart. With that said, I want to encourage you to share this episode with just 3 other people who you think might also benefit from our community and what we are offering, with the hopes that all of you can join our All In campaign. When you're done, simply click the link All In Campaign in the bio and receive a free copy of my course entitled Goodbye Toxicity, which is valued at $297. This course will help you to work through some of the difficult experiences that arise in most of our relationships, and it's completely free to you with your commitment to join our All In campaign. We look forward to connecting with you every Monday and Wednesday. Thanks for listening.